Hey everyone, how you doing? This is Amon Green, Green Bay Packers all-time leading rusher, and you're watching Packers Total Access Live, your daily source for Packer content. Go Pack, go!
What's up, guys? Welcome into Packers Total Access. My name is Clayton. You can check us out over at patreon.com/PackerFan Total Access. Also, find us wherever you get your podcast. Just search Packers Total Access or Packer Fan Total Access. We are on Spotify. We are on iTunes. We're on iHeartRadio, every platform in between, man. I personally like Podcast Republic. You can find it there. I think they do a good job keeping all the different podcasts sorted and organized in that regard. We are also live here on X, YouTube, Rumble, somewhere on Facebook, out there in the universe somewhere. We are live on Facebook as well. But I'm joined alongside Tim here in Green Bay, Wisconsin. It is March the 1st. We got one more day. We got today and tomorrow left of the combine, and all the RAS data will be in. We're going to dive into a whole bunch of that today. We got an Emanuel Wilson update. I'm curious to know what the chat thinks about the Emanuel Wilson situation. I would love to have him back. Kind of feels like Emanuel Wilson may have played his last snap in Green Bay. We'll talk about that. We'll talk about who are the top RAS cards so far during this combine, and then we'll jump back and look at our draft board. We've got all of the RASs in right now that have been somewhat considered a complete card or a semi-complete card. We'll talk about what that's done to the draft board too. So before we get into everything, if y'all would do that YouTube stuff for me, hit like, hit subscribe. If this is your first time tuning into PTA, welcome. Thank you for making us a part of your morning. We are not experts. We're not insiders. We're not media. We're fans just like you, talking Packers on the daily. So if you're looking for that type of content, hit like, hit subscribe, click the bell icon for us as well. We're going to go live later today at 2:30 p.m. Central Time. Me and Tim will be live. Maybe Emilio will join us. We'll see. But during the combine, we're going to be giving you live updates on the offensive linemen at the combine and all that. We'll break down what we learned about the previous positional groups, as well as more data is going to come in throughout the day. So just a little live watch party, if you will, for the combine. So make sure you got that bell icon clicked so you don't miss out on that. Tim, how you doing, bud?
All right. Other than saying goodbye to Emanuel Wilson, apparently, right? Kind of not entirely shocked though by this news, right? You kind of figured he was going to end up testing the market, right?
Yeah. And listen, man, I like Emanuel Wilson. Tim actually has got a chance to meet Emanuel Wilson, a great dude. I love that he's so open about his faith. I always appreciate that about a person that doesn't care what anybody thinks about him. Hey, this is my belief system. I'm not telling you how to feel. This is how I feel. He's a hard-ass worker. He's an overachiever. He had two, I think, great years in Green Bay. Now, last year took a step back, but everything took a step back with the way the offensive line played. Obviously, we kind of swung and missed on a couple of O-linemen here. It looks like trying to revamp that offensive lineman. So when you kind of look at everything as a whole here with Emanuel Wilson, it is tough. You know, he was actually – he commented on our YouTube stream one time, which was really cool. Somebody had commented and said, no, I was actually here at that school and did this or whatever. And I was like, who is this? I clicked on the profile. Lo and behold, it was his YouTube channel. And I know it was his because he had some of his like Pop Warner and stuff uploaded. So it was cool to get to chat with him a little bit, just hanging out in our YouTube channel. And again, if you see it, you got to say it, whether you like a player or not, Tim. We're always going to try to be very, very honest in our opinion, both positive and negative. I try to look at the positive side over the negative. I thought Emanuel Wilson was a good football player. So, you know what? Let's just dive into it, man. Let's waste no time and get into it right now, man. Because it's kind of bittersweet when you get some of your favorite players that kind of come and go on the team. But here is what kind of sparked this conversation, guys. A little bit of breaking news, if you will. I just put this out on Patreon because of a tweet I seen. It seems Emanuel Wilson may have played his final snap in Green Bay. By the way, Tim, is that not the best screen grab ever, man? Look at that right there. Dude. Look at that Viking just fighting for his life over here as Emanuel Wilson just moving on to bigger and better things, man. So here's the tweet that went out. A very small Twitter account, but you guys go give him a follow because he did screen record this, and there's actually audio of an IG live of Emanuel Wilson making this comment, okay? It's Packers base, so just go to @Packers_base. Packers free agent running back Emanuel Wilson on IG live, quote, "I'm a miss Green Bay too, my guy," end of quote. So it sounds like he's kind of accepting the fact that he's probably not going to be back in Green Bay. He said this comes, and Packers base went on to say, this comes a few hours after the Packers did not tender Emanuel Wilson per Jeremy Fowler. So again, maybe he's reacting to the fact that they didn't hit him with that tender, but also this makes Emanuel Wilson an unrestricted free agent, Tim, which means everything's on the table for him now. And if in the exit interview, and I'm just strictly speculating here, okay? So I have no sources. I have no reason to believe this actually happened. I'm just thinking, what's the most likely scenario? I bet at the exit interview, they said, we'd love to have you back and have you back competing at camp. That means minimum contract. And in his eyes, he's probably thinking, well, if I'm going to get a minimum contract, let me go to a team that I have the best opportunity to crack in as the number one running back or really make waves. Or maybe it's a scheme that fits me a little bit better because obviously our scheme has changed since we signed Josh Jacobs. So maybe that plays into it as well. I'm not completely ruling out that Emanuel Wilson will not be a Green Bay Packer next year. Okay, please don't take this the wrong way. But just based off of that comment, probably more likely than not, Tim, unfortunately, Emanuel Wilson's going to be gone. Is there anything I'm missing there? Is that how you see it? Maybe you see it a little bit different, man.
No, I think it's valid. And, hey, it's an opportunity for him to try and get a little bit more money. But I think in his mind's eye, probably an opportunity to be an RB1 somewhere, because I think Emanuel Wilson's capable of that. I'm sure there's some teams out there that, he could walk in there and end up with that starting role. And, like you said, kind of I don't know about step back, but yeah, maybe a step back last year. But again, maybe that's more due to the issues we had on our offensive line, because, to your point, even Josh Jacobs struggled to run the football at times last year behind this O-line. So, outside chance that, maybe Emanuel Wilson signs a minimum contract here in Green Bay, but I doubt it. I think he's probably going to get a contract elsewhere. So wish him the best as he pursues the rest of his career, because I think he's a great dude and a great football player and certainly capable of being an RB1 somewhere. So best wishes to E-Man.
And I immediately went and tried to find, okay, where does he rank amongst free agents right now? There's no market value on Spot Track for him, which suggests there's no true comps, because like Coach Lynn said, he needs more volume, right? That's been the big thing, is he hasn't gotten enough carries. He hasn't gotten enough opportunities. When he got those opportunities year 1 and 2 in Green Bay, he maximized them. Last year, not so much, but still not near the workload that a running back would want, especially as a running back too, in a league where you're kind of rotating guys in and out pretty often. It's very rare you get those bell cow backs, right? Kyle Andretti in the chat says, I hope Emanuel Wilson gets a running back one role. I think he could thrive in the right system, man. I'm with you, Kyle. I'm with you. And we wish him nothing but the best, obviously. But again, the fact that he wasn't even in the top 250 on PFF's free agent list really kind of, And I was thinking, okay, maybe it's because they were waiting on the tender. There's several players on this list, the entire list, that was in a similar situation. They just didn't have Emanuel Wilson listed. So really interesting there. You can see the bottom 3 on their top 250 free agents is Miles Sanders at 190. You got Austin Eckler at 205, and then Alexander Madison at 240 in terms of PFF there. When you look at the PFF grades, this is our entire running back room, just to kind of give everybody an idea as it sits right now. Of course, the new league year, obviously Emanuel Wilson, Chris Brooks will be gone unless something's worked out there. So Josh Jacobs leading the way last year, the 5th highest rated running back at 85.8. Then you got Chris Brooks at 69.5. I think there's a better chance of Chris Brooks coming back than Emanuel Wilson because of his ability in the passing game, right? Pass pro and all that. So that might have been the decision the Packers made, was like, hey, if we're going to bring one guy back, it's going to be Chris Brooks to couple with Josh Jacobs and obviously Marshawn Lloyd, who we hope is healthy finally. I think he could be a dynamic playmaker if he does end up finally being healthy. But that's how it sits right there, along with one of my guys, Damian Martinez. You guys know I was really high on him on our draft board. Matter of fact, let me take a quick look here. If you want to say something real quick, Tim, I'm going to see where we had him on our board.
Martinez, you said?
Yeah.
I'm looking at the free agent list too. There's a pretty good crop of running backs available on the market as well. So it's going to be a competitive market for sure. So, best wishes to Emanuel Wilson. I wouldn't put it past maybe the Packers grabbing one of these names for a pretty good steal here in a pinch, depending on how things shape up in the draft. If we talked yesterday about potentially maybe drafting a running back in the mid to later rounds. So we'll see what the game plan is. But I agree with your assessment. You know, maybe it is Chris Brooks is your new complimentary back behind Josh Jacobs. So we'll see how this develops.
Yeah, definitely. And Damian Martinez is a very interesting prospect here. I know you guys have heard me talk about, like, I feel like he could be our next Emanuel Wilson. Now, obviously, Emanuel Wilson didn't grade out great last year, a 63.7. He ended up finishing 53rd, which is right there in the middle of the pack for a number 2 running back, right, Tim? I mean, you're talking about 32 teams, so take it to 64. Anybody in the top 64, according to PFF, is worthy of a number 2 back position in the National Football League. For this specific year, he finished 53rd. So it wasn't like he had a bad year, but the years before, obviously 80 with minimal attempts in 2023. And then in 2024, he had a significant increase in his role, and he gets better with more carries that he gets, right? Obviously an 82.9. So I think the Packers, too, understand that his stock is an all-time low. You said there's a lot of running backs out there in free agency. Maybe this is Gutey's way of going, hey, let's let him hit the crop. Let's look at the whole crop and see what makes the most sense. But when you talk about Damian Martinez, man, the big thing that sticks out to me with him as I pop this over here, I'm going to pull up our draft board for last year. This is why I was so high on Damian Martinez, guys. I was really, really surprised that he ended up being available for the Packers to just sign on their practice squad. He's 109th on our board last year. So you're talking about a borderline top 100 prospect. Let me put that in perspective. According to our board, look down here, Anthony Belton. He's in the 121 spot. We drafted him in the 2nd round. We actually had a higher grade on Damian Martinez than Anthony Belton. So if you're trying to compare apples to apples in terms of our draft board and where Damian Martinez's skill level may or may not lie, we're saying he's the 109th best prospect last year. PFF in 2023 he was 72nd best running back, then 8th best, jumped all the way to 8th in the country, and then fell back to 116. So that's that Jaden Reed effect, right? The consensus big board had him at 257. I apologize. I got that wrong. He went from 72 in 23 all the way up to 8th in 24. And then the PFF big board had him at 116. The consensus big board was dragging him down on our board, actually. Now, when you go to the 33rd team and Kyle Krabs, he had him at 104. Dane Brugler had him at 128. So, and then the RAS, he was in the 8s that got him a 3-point bonus. Greg Cosell loved Damian Martinez. I mean, loved Damian Martinez. So the fact that we've kind of got him in the holster, Tim, part of me thinks maybe that's Gutey's mindset too, is, hey, you know what? Let's just plug and play Damian Martinez into the 3rd running back spot. We got Chris Brooks to activate or deactivate when it comes to pass pro on any given day. And you got Marshawn Lloyd. Hopefully he's healthy. Maybe the running back doesn't take a step back without Emanuel Wilson. And it's just best for both parties to move on. Does that make sense? What do you think about Damian Martinez? Really interesting to look back on that draft board.
Yeah, I think it's an interesting piece. We didn't take him for no reason, right? I mean, he's around. And yeah, man, it's just really tough to tell right now with, you bring up Marshawn Lloyd. It's a guy I've been rooting for since we drafted him as well, and he just hasn't seen the field. That would be an incredibly good problem to have if we had 3 healthy backs here going into this season, and we might actually get to see Marshawn Lloyd play a little bit of football. That would be awesome.
Yeah, and PJ Holden in the chat says,
here's the guy
when it comes to Damian Martinez. So I'm excited to see what he can do, man. And again, I've talked about this all week. People probably get tired of hearing me say it, but I just love the change in the season. We're going to be up in the 70s this week, and right around the corner is going to be hearing about OTAs and what these guys are doing in the offseason. And, oh, man, they're really excited about this player and that player. Damian Martinez is going to be my guy. He's going to be the guy I'm looking close to. Now, watch this. New league year starts, Tim. They'll cut his ass right out the gate. It'll happen, right? So, again, that's where Damian Martinez out of Miami landed on our big board there last year. So if you guys are watching this video back later, let us know in the comments. I'm curious to know what you guys and gals think about Emanuel Wilson. Do you think he'll be back with Green Bay? Do you think he's played his last snap? How did you feel about his tenure in Green Bay? How do you feel like the running back room is going to shift moving forward? Do you have faith in Marshawn Lloyd? Let us know all about it in the comments. Make sure you hit like, subscribe, click that bell icon for us as well.
I tell you, Clayton, I gotta close out this free agent running back list because there's a couple names on here that I really like.
Oh, for real? Who do you got, man?
I mean, he had a down year the last couple of years, whatever you want to call it. But one of the guys that I've always wanted to steal and bring him into Green Bay is Isaiah Pacheco. He's on the market. You talk about a decent back, a complimentary back, barely 26 years old. there's some names. Rashad White, Najee Harris. I mean, there's running backs on the heap that would be interesting fits, I think, in this offense. But I don't want to dream too much right now because we all know what's going to happen in free agency when it comes to signing one of these running backs, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think, man, somebody said something about an injury with Isaiah Pacheco. Let me double check that real quick. I'm going to see if they got any kind of
I thought he did get hurt last year. I know he missed some time.
So that might be why it's like, okay, he may not be ready. You know what I mean? For the 2026 season. I got Chat GPT on it right now. We'll see what it says here. If it'll grab it for us. Just trying to comb through and make sure we're not missing anything. It's giving me all the measurables. It's searching. Never takes this long. Of course, when we do it live on the air, it does. Recent injury timeline. Here we go. So MCL sprain. Pacheco suffered a sprained medial collateral ligament in week 8 of the 2025 NFL season, which forced him out of action for several weeks. He was considered week to week after the injury. Missed games. He missed multiple Chiefs games in midseason, including matchups versus teams like the Bills and the Broncos due to the knee issue. Return attempt around late November. Reports indicated he was aiming for a return for the Thanksgiving Day game against the Cowboys. What's now known, the official status, current publicly available official Chiefs injury reports and team sites list Pacheco with a questionable tag, which can mean limited or uncertain, blah, blah, blah. No recent major injury news. So maybe people are a little nervous, right? A little nervous about that MCL not having more information. So that's
and maybe it affects the price, right?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
I mean, he's just a aggressive, hard dog of a runner, man. Just fun to watch, when he is healthy, right? And then, like I said, being 26, I mean, you look at some of these other names, Kareem Hunt, Raheem Mostert, Nick Chubb, really solid backs. All of these guys are on the wrong side of 30, So I look at Pacheco and you're telling me there's a chance. Mm-hmm. At least I've convinced myself there is, but we'll see.
Hey, for the right price, man, why not, right? 2-0 for this says Pacheco would be great. He has Chiefs mentality, if nothing else. Multiple rings, right? If I remember correctly, he's got at least one ring, I would imagine. But he knows what it takes to win a championship for sure, man. So it'll be interesting. We'll keep our eye on that. Obviously, free agency is going to be a lot of fun, man. Free agency is right around the corner, Tim. I mean, it's 10 days away, right? The new league year, I think, is March 10th, so 9 days away actually. So going to be cool, man. Yeah. We'll be here every step of the way for sure. Let's do this, man. Let's shift gears and talk about these RASs. And if you guys are not familiar with RAS is a system that was created by, you can follow him over there. His name's, I don't know what his actual name is. He may not want his actual name out there, but he goes by Math Bomb over on X. Okay. So you guys can go check him out over there. And here's the way RAS works. It's relative athletic score. They take every prospect that they've gotten an athletic score from since 1983. And you're talking about size. You're talking about, speed, composite speed. You're talking about agility. You're talking about explosion, all these things. They take everything and throw it into one pot, and they compare these players with a grade over the history of every other player since 1980. I think it's 1983 is the date. So a 10 is a perfect score. It's very rare that happens. We've got one this year, okay? When you look at our draft board, you're going to see bonuses under RAS. You'll see -6, -5, -3, -1, or just 0. The way this works is if they've got a 10 RAS, they get a 6-point bonus. Anything in the 9s, so from 9.00 all the way up to 9.99, they will get a 5-point bonus, which will raise them up our board a little bit, okay? If they finish in the 8s, so from 8 all the way up to 899, that will be a 3-point bonus. Anything from 7 all the way up to 799 will be a 1-point bonus. Anything under 7, we don't give a bonus for. Notice we didn't penalize anybody. We don't penalize anybody for the Underwear Olympics. What we're doing is we're giving a little bit of a bump to those guys that dominate overall athletic score. Notice we didn't give a bonus just for the 40-yard dash or just for the bench press. It's everything encompassed, right? And it also is a really, really easy way as you're looking at the board, and we'll show you here in a little bit. You can kind of glance at the board and go, oh, wow, that dude's an athletic freak. That dude's an athletic freak. Wow, this guy's got a high grade. Lee Hunter, high grade. Oh, boy, he got a 0 on RAS, so he didn't test well. It doesn't mean that player is less of a football player. It's just nice to have more information rather than less. Does that make sense, Tim?
Yep, absolutely. I mean, we've had this conversation so many times, right? I mean, we want football players, obviously you want good athletes, but, you'll take a a little bit of a lower RAS if you've got a higher threshold on a football player's measurables, right?
Absolutely. So let's get into these RAS scores. What I did was all positions, and this is the data that's in right now. Okay. And this is over at RAS. Again, you guys go give them a follow over on X, and it just shoot. Hey, it doesn't hurt to tag them in a tweet either and say, man, thank you so much for your hard work. Let's let everybody know, because there's a lot of different people bringing different angles to the draft coverage this year, man. Let's just show some appreciation to people. Mike Washington out of Arkansas, running back, Tim.
Here's a guy.
10-0-0. Absolutely phenomenal day for Mike Washington, obviously.
Here's a guy.
Definitely helped his draft stock tremendously. I'm going to have our board off to the side just so we can kind of see where these guys are at. Mike Washington, guys, he is 163 on our big board. Now, people are going, there's no way he'll last that long, right? The consensus big board had him at 173. The PFF big board had him at 135. Tankathon had him at 139. He was not in Dane Brugler's top 150, and he was not in Daniel Jeremiah's top 50. Okay, or maybe it was top 100. It was top 100 for Daniel or for Dane Brugler. So he's definitely not in the top 100, which would suggest he's probably a little bit further down. Maybe around a little closer to that 135 mark for PFF. We've got him at 163. Tim, this is a guy late in the draft that I say late in the draft, but he's obviously going to jump up a little bit because of these measurables. It's a guy that may have went from a 4th or a 5th round pick and might have jumped up into the 3rd round. It seems that way anyway.
Hopefully not, though. I was hoping we'd hear that lovely sound, followed by his name. But no, you're right. He certainly helped himself, I think, at the combine. 160th right now on PFF's big board.
Yeah. And Ryan Jennings in the chat said Washington would be a dream come true. Could you imagine? You move on from Emanuel Wilson. You're still trying to see if Marshawn Lloyd's going to be that dude. We talked about the hype, the excitement we have around Damian Martinez. This is a perfect example, Tim. We're getting excited about Washington because of this 10 RAS, right? And he's sitting in the 163 spot on our board. Damian Martinez was 50 spots higher than him on last year's board, right? So it's like that's what we might have in the holster with Damian Martinez. But what if you go out there week 1 and it's Josh Jacobs, Damian Martinez, and somebody like Mike Washington that you got later in the draft? Will be really exciting. So, again, he's going to skyrocket, like you said, though, Tim. Definitely.
More than likely. But, hey, that's a good approach, though. Like, you want to stay a little bit young in that running back room behind Josh Jacobs. He's a veteran, and you want to put some youth there behind him for the future. So it's not the worst approach, I think.
Yeah, Fishy Thing says that's a Gutey guy if I ever saw one. You got that right. Coach Lentz is 6'1", 221. Wow. If that's the accurate measurements there, that's a Hoss cat, man. It's a strong back to be able to run that well. Next on the list is linebacker Sonny Styles. Don't even think about it, Packer fans. No chance in hell that Sonny Styles is going to be available on the Packers pick at any point in this draft. Linebacker out of Ohio State, dominant 9.99. Talon Green, quarterback out of Arkansas. Very, very interesting prospect here, Tim. Talon Green's obviously scored a 9.99, had I think the second, did they say it was the second fastest 40-yard dash for a quarterback in combine history? Did you hear that too, or did I dream that?
Thought I heard something like that. Was that him they were talking about?
I think it was. He's 116 on our big board, okay? And just to kind of cross-check that, PFF big board had him at 62, 205. The consensus big board had him at 149. Wow. So we've got him much higher than both the consensus big board and the PFF big board. If he's there at 120 somehow, some way, and I don't think he will be now, but if he was there, would you be okay with spending the 120th pick on a backup quarterback that's an absolute freak of an athlete?
I'm not opposed to it. You know what we do here in Titletown with quarterbacks, right? Mm-hmm. I mean, and he just fell again on PFF's board. He's at 228 on the PFF big board.
Really? It's so interesting, right? Now, I didn't watch his throwing drills. I don't know if anybody in the chat did. If so, let us know in the comments. Hit us up if you're watching this back later. Let us know in the comments, how did his throwing drills look? We're just going strictly off RAS here, but, man, he really, really helped himself, no doubt.
6'6", 235. That's a quarterback body type right there. That's who you want.
Oh, my gosh, man. Seeing over the offensive line, obviously, when I hear that size and I hear that kind of athleticism, two people come to mind for me. It's Josh Allen and it's Lamar Jackson.
Yep.
Name another quarterback who's had that kind of size and that type of athleticism.
Maybe a Cam Newton, maybe.
Yeah, right, Cam. And that was all these guys are much higher drafted, right? Than obviously where Taylon Green is being projected. It's going to be really interesting, man. And what's that say about Arkansas's staff that they had a guy that was an absolute freak and they couldn't figure out a way to use him? I mean, if Louisville could figure it out with our boy Lamar Jackson, surely anybody else can figure it out. But that'd be really interesting. Jeff Caldwell, wide receiver out of Cincinnati, 9.99, Tim. Caldwell is another interesting prospect here. You noticing these guys that dominated are significantly lower on our board. I love it. Jeff Caldwell is all the way down in the 333 spot. Okay. PFF Big Board had him at 198 when we took it down. Consensus Big Board had him at 298. Where does PFF Big Board have Jeff Caldwell now, Tim? Wide receiver out of Cincinnati.
Let's see. Mr. Caldwell is 198 on their Big Board.
So he stayed put. Got it. And he got the 5-point bonus. So again, that's a guy that's potentially an undrafted free agent. You know, maybe go see if we could dig up some tape and if he was a return guy or not. He definitely did not make, I don't think he did. He did not make our top 10 kick returners / punt returners from college football last year, unless we overlooked him. But obviously somebody's going to give him a shot with those kind of numbers for sure. 999.
Another guy you might want to look back at 2024. I'm looking at his numbers, you know, over 1,000 yards, 11 tutters. Looks like some of the production kind of dropped off a little bit last year with him.
Yeah. Next on the list is going to be very interesting, boys. We have Christian Watson 2.0. We got Bryce Lance, wide receiver out of North Dakota State. 998 is the RAS. Bryce Lance is sitting in the 106 spot on our board. He was the 14th highest graded receiver in 24, jumped all the way to the 7th highest graded receiver in 25. PFF Big Board had him at 134. The Consensus Big Board had him at 150. So definitely the PFF grades are helping him there. Everyone else kind of seen him significantly lower. Tankathon had him at 143. Dane Brugler had him at 99. And he gets the 5-point bonus for the RAS. Where does PFF Big Board currently have Bryce Lance, Tim, wide receiver?
159 on PFF's Big Board.
Wow.
Graded out at an 89.4 last year. They got him 8th.
What
overall.
What did they not like about him? That's what I'm trying to figure out. Because, again, his PFF grades checked out the last 2 years. Granted, he played at a small school. The combine numbers are through the roof. And like, how in the hell does PFF have what's the grade they have him on him for 2025, Tim? It's got to be in the 90s, right?
89.4.
89.4. So you just said that 89.4 grade, but then they're going to go, nah, he's about the 150th best prospect. What are we talking about?
That's why
he's undersized.
1,000-yard seasons. I mean, my goodness, 21 yards a reception average. Like, this guy is he's a baller.
What's his height and weight, Tim? You may have said it while I was reading there. What's his height?
PFF's got him listed at 6'3", 209.
So it ain't a size thing. It's not like he's 5'10" and people are a little wary of that. He's got good size there as well. So gonna be interesting to see where Bryce Lance lands at. And obviously our new receivers coach was the former receiver coach for North Dakota State with Christian Watson. Okay, so he's probably still, whether he's too far removed from Bryce Lance or he actually coached Bryce Lance when he was there. I know the NIL stuff shakes things up a lot more often now. But regardless, there's going to be connections there with that coaching staff, right? And obviously, that coach went on to, and I can't even think of his name now. It's eluding me. You guys let me know in the chat. I don't have time to Google it. But our new receiver coach, the coach that went to Iowa State, coached up obviously Jalen Knoll and your boy Jaden Higgins last year's draft, him, and then took the job at Penn State, and then immediately took the job at Green Bay. Didn't even have time to unpack his bags at Penn State. So Bryce Lance is one that it's interesting because we've got him at 105, right, or 106. If that 150 holds true, would you be okay with drafting Bryce Lance at 150 or 120 rather, somewhere around that range? I know I'd be okay with it.
I might be a little bit more difficult to convince, but I'm not totally opposed to it.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, God, it's so tough because we always talk about it. You've got to look at your positions of need, and then you also have to look at best talent available. If they're on the board, you've got to be prepared to make a move. So,
right.
I've talked myself into it. I'm with you, Clay. I think I'd be okay with that.
And it depends on how the board looks, right? Like if we get to that point in the draft and there's 2 stud offensive linemen with top 50 grades, no,
Right.
we're going with those guys, right? But if he's
Noah Pauley, by the way, is the wide receivers coach from North Dakota State you were talking about.
I've talked about so many coaching changes this year. I can't remember anybody's name, and I know we've covered them all. You can find videos on the channel. We did deep dives and breakdowns. It's going to be hard. It's going to be hard to try to, I don't know, memorize everybody's name, I guess you could say. Next on the list is Charles Demings, cornerback out of Stephen F. Austin with a 9.97. Charles Demings. Let's see. What do you have on him for PFF, Tim, in terms of his current PFF ranking? Because before we had him at, it looks like 363 on the PFF big board.
Let's see. Charles Demings, Stephen F., not Stephen A.
That's
he
correct.
Is at 207 on PFF.
So he has jumped from 363 to 207 on PFF's big board. This is one we need to change. So let's do this in real time. So we're going to go 363 plus, what did you say it was, Tim? His rank?
207.
207. All right. Divide that by 2. We're going to now give him a 285 for the PFF big board. We're going to meet in the middle, okay? Because it's obvious that's a guy that they overlooked. His grade jumped from 204 to 185. So that's going to be a significant increase for him. Very, very interesting there. So again, keep an eye on him and see where he goes. Now, since we changed it, we're going to tag that with a yellow mark. It looks like we had to change the consensus board too, Tim. So this is a guy that seems to be kind of rising up boards. Consensus big board now has him at 307 on ours. All right. So we met in the middle, and then 285 now on PFF says we changed it. So another player to keep an eye on there. And that might be a late round guy. I don't have him listed as one of the top returners. So maybe it won't be extra value there. And let's just kind of roll through these. Cole Payton's interesting. Let's hit one more here and then we'll move on. Cole Payton out of North Dakota State, quarterback. That coaching staff knows what the hell they're doing at North Dakota State, Tim. My goodness, man. You're talking about overachieving, dude. But Cole Payton, 997 was his RAS score. Where do you have Cole Payton, quarterback, when it comes to the PFF big board? Because we did have him at 208 originally.
It's interesting because PFF's got him at 249.
So he's dropped.
Which is wild because in 2025, they've got him 95.9 ranked the number 1 quarterback in the country. So kind of interesting.
Yeah. And here's what's crazy. So PFF grades, we don't have anything for 23 or 24. 25, he was the highest graded quarterback. PFF big board had him at 208, and he's since dropped now. Consensus big board had him at 201. By the way, he was the MVP of the Senior Bowl, okay? So he ended up getting an 8-point bonus because he was the MVP of that game. And his RAS is now a 5-point bonus. I'm eager to hear what Greg Cosell has to say, and he's going to be breaking down his quarterbacks this week, I believe. So
the numbers are insane last year.
Yeah.
I mean, 71% completion percentage, 2,700 yards, 16 tutters, 4 picks, 127 passer rating.
Yeah.
Hello.
Yeah. What's his height weight, Tim? You don't mind me asking.
Let's see. They've got him at 6'3", 233, but we know PFF gets friendly sometimes with that. Maybe
so let's say
we'll have to see what he measured up at.
Yeah, actually, I can click on it here. It may throw everything a little bit into flux, but we're just about done. Let's go Cole Payton real quick. I apologize if the ads run rampant here. Cole Payton, 997, 6'3", 232, Tim.
Wow.
There you go. Checks out.
He fits the mold too. Yep.
Yes, sir. Very, very, very interesting there. So, yeah, now we're all out of whack here, of course. That's my bad. But it's worth checking, though. I just wanted to get the actual measurement there for sure. So let's go back to 2026. And Cole Payton, again, 997. Tim, we've got him at 140 on our board. I'd be okay with taking him as a late round quarterback. You kidding me, man? If somehow, some way, if he's there at 120, guys, this is what we're talking about. And I know Packer fans will lose their mind if we go and we sign somehow, some way, we go out there and try to sign a quarterback or draft a quarterback, I should say, when we got all these other needs, offensive line, defensive line, cornerback, right? But if he's sitting there at 120 and Gutey's got a second round grade on him, you can bet your ass Gutey's going to run a card and get a quarterback. It's going to happen. And again, there's precedent there for it as well throughout the Packers organization with Ted Thompson back in the day. Aaron Rodgers was a starting quarterback. We drafted Brian Brown in the second round. So we darn sure would be willing to spend 120, right? So, yeah, it's going to be interesting. Next on the list, we'll just go rapid fire. DeMonte Capehart, defensive tackle out of Clemson, really helped himself. Xavier Wankpa, I think is how you say it, out of Iowa at 996. Lorenzo Styles, linebacker at Ohio State, 996. J. Michael Sturdivant, 996. Dennis Sutton, 996. Sam Roush, 994. Tight end there out of Stanford. Ted Hurst, 992. I'm trying to think. There was a tight end. It might have been our boy Sadiq, Tim. They said he ran, it was something insane. 23 miles per hour is what they clocked him at, which is a tight end, bro. That's
a tight end running like that?
Crazy. These kids, they just continue to get freakier and freakier every year, man. No doubt about it. So, all right. So, yeah, that's going to do it for the RAS segment. We just want to give you guys kind of a quick little update on who was really showing up and showing out in terms of RAS scores. If you guys are watching this back later, let us know in the comments. How do you feel about those RAS scores? What do you think about the Mike Washington conversation? Where would you be willing to draft him? What about Cole Payton, quarterback? We need a backup quarterback, seeing that Malik Willis is pretty much gone, right? What do you think about Taylon Green? Would you rather have him as a backup quarterback? How high in the draft are you willing to go to get one of these guys? And here's what's interesting about the question. I want to know what everybody thinks in the comments. Let me know. If you get to the point where you've got a cluster of these guys and they're piling up, Tim, you got 3 or 4 quarterbacks you really like, you really got to like your chances of getting one of these guys in the 6th or 7th round if they continue to fall. So let us know in the comments. How do you feel about those players? Hit that like button for us. Hit subscribe. Click the bell icon as well. All right, Tim, what do you think about that? Asking you that question, man. You get a log jam of these quarterbacks, you probably want to kind of hold off, right? And maybe you can get somebody in a similar tier way later in the draft with one of those 7th round picks. It feels like one of those 3 7th round picks is going to be a quarterback. It really does.
That'd be okay with me, especially if you're, in a situation where you can do that and you don't have to go, super aggressive early. We don't have a 1st round pick the next couple of years. We're starting, what's our first pick? 52. Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, anything in those first 3 picks, you'd like to ideally not have to take a quarterback. So yeah, if you can get one in the later rounds, I'm all for it. Like you said, anything to bring, some more talent into that QB room and some competition at camp there behind Desmond Ridder, for that QB2 spot, I think is a good thing.
Yeah, completely agree, man. Completely agree. Coach Lynn says Cole Payton or Taylon Green late in the draft. Who would you pick? If you had to choose between the two, Tim, that's interesting because Taylon Green playing in the SEC, a lot tougher talent than North Dakota State. So you give the edge there, right? Cole Payton graded out as the top quarterback in the country, even though he played at North Dakota State. So kind of give him the edge there. There's enough of discrepancy there. Cole Payton, obviously speed nowhere near Taylon Green's speed and athleticism, but still very, very athletic. If I had to choose between the two, Coach, right off the bat here, my heart is saying Cole Payton, but my head is saying Taylon Green, right? Because when you watch Cole Payton play, he's got something to him where it's like there's a little more grit. And that's not a shot at Taylon Green. It's just Taylon Green is the Mercedes-Benz, right? Taylon Green is that, that's that G-Wagon sitting over here. It looks beautiful. You kidding me, man? Take that on to town. But you look at Cole Payton, it's like, I don't know, man. That's one of those jacked up armored vehicles
truck right there.
One of those 6-wheel armored vehicles that'll still do 120 mile an hour. You know what I mean? It's like, all right, yeah, that one there, that's one you want to take out there and try to climb up the telephone pole with, right? So It's interesting. I would be okay with both of them, but that's a fascinating question, Coach, for sure. All right, man. Let's talk about one more thing here, Tim. We're going to hit it in rapid fashion, and that is just taking a quick look at our draft board. I know I'm excited about watching some more of the combine today. We're going to go live during it. If you guys are just now jumping in here, hit that like button for us, hit subscribe, click the bell icon so you're notified when we go live here, like today at 2:30 Central Time. We're going to be talking everything combine live during the combine drills. So, and also if you want to support the show, just join patreon.com/PackerFan Total Access, where you have access to this draft board and all other information that we're sharing here. So appreciate everybody over there supporting. So Tim, when you look at the board here, man, we got it sorted by overall grade. Okay. And what this means, guys, low number wins. Right now we've got our first negative prospect on the board, and that is David Bailey. All right, edge defender out of Texas Tech. He is a minus 2.9. He's hands down in a tier of his own right now. Some people are going, Ruben Bain's better. He may be, but Ruben Bain chose not to compete at the combine, so we did not get an RAS bonus. Let's say Ruben Bain checked out with a -5. Guess what? he would be the best prospect at a minus 2.2. I believe it would be. Actually, it might be a little bit different. I apologize. I think he would be the best, though, because you'd be looking at, what, a 3-point difference. Yeah. So Ruben Bain may be the best player. The reason that David Bailey has the edge right now is because he went out there and competed. He competed his ass off and crushed with the RAS at the combine. Fernando Mendoza obviously did not compete. Sonny Styles did. He dominated. He's now he got the 5-point bonus with the RAS. He's now at a 4 grade. So he's kind of separated himself a little bit from Arvell Reese, who did not compete to the best of my knowledge, or hasn't yet. Greg Cosell loves Arvell Reese, so they're kind of balancing out. We haven't got a Greg Cosell bonus for Sonny Styles yet, but we got one for Arvell Reese. So it's like that 5-point difference isn't playing as much of a factor. Sonny Styles, hands down, is the best stack backer in this draft. But if we go on down to the next RAS bonus, you got Kenyon Sadiq, right? 6'3", 241, 31.5-inch arms, 4'3", 940. I think he's the tight end, Tim.
That's got to be
23 mile an hour. Crazy.
Flash.
Yeah. RAS is a 5-point bonus. He's got a 16.4 grade. Next RAS reporting is Cassius Howell, edge defender out of Texas A&M. He's got a 3-point bonus, so he scored in the 8s, and we'll get all these up to date as we get closer to the draft. But his overall draft grade is a 22.7, so Cassius Howell helped himself a little bit according to our board. And it's interesting, too, because this is what we're talking about. We have not seen Akeem Mesidor at the combine to the best of my knowledge. You guys hit me up in the chat right here. Comment right here if you know he did perform and maybe the numbers didn't get in until later. Maybe they go in later today. But Akeem Mesidor is not getting a bonus, Tim. So this is a perfect example. 2 edge defenders, tier 1 of importance. Cassius Howell leapfrogs Akeem Mesidor on our board because he gets that 3.8 score bonus from the RAS. So this is what we're talking about, right, when the board can shift around.
Yep, absolutely.
Yeah. So, and again, the measurables are fairly close. I was trying to look at the arm length. Akeem Mesidor actually has 32 and 1/8 of an inch arms, and Cassius Howell only has 30 and 1/4 inch arms. So it might be one of those scenarios where Mesidor gets drafted before him because of the arm length, right? And it'll probably be a situation that Mesidor would have the heart eye emoji for us. Not that it matters. The Packers probably won't have a shot to draft him, but that'll just show you, hey, he checks out physically from the threshold that the Packers typically lean on, as opposed to a Cassius Howell. So all those things come into play as well. 22 on our board is Caleb Banks. He got the 5-point bonus, defensive tackle out of Florida. Probably going to be long gone before the Packers have a chance to draft him. I mean, yeah. Some people think it's going to be around the 15 mark. I think we've got him. Where's he sitting right now on our board? 22. He was 23, so now he's 22 on our board. Probably going to be long gone, but he gets the 5-point bonus, Tim.
Same thing with that next name right there. Mr. McNeil Warren out of Toledo, I think I think he's the best safety in this draft class. I really do.
See, and we haven't – it's funny. I was feeling the same way, and I have to keep reminding myself, Tim, Caleb Downs. And again,
Ohio State, yep.
Did not compete, in the combine. Maybe he'll have a pro day. I don't know. We'll have all that information in due time, but that's a perfect example of how quickly we forget. But when you look at Caleb Downs, he did measure in at 6 foot, 206. And then you go to Emanuel McNeil Warren, 6'3.5", 201. So a lot more range, a lot more length there, obviously. And then right behind him, actually in the same exact tier, this is going to get really fun. They both got 5-point bonuses. So we've got pretty much the same amount of information for both Emanuel McNeil Warren and Dylan Thieneman out of Oregon. And you look at it here, 5-point bonuses, McNeil Warren 23.8, and you got Dylan Thieneman at a 25.2. So they're in – actually, McNeil Warren will be in a slightly higher tier if you're going in 5-point increments, but it's so close. You may look at it like a cluster buster. What would you prefer? Would you prefer the 6'3.5" frame over the 6-foot frame because they got the same grade? Maybe you like the fluidity of the gauntlet drill that Dylan Thieneman showed, which was dominating. Maybe you like that, and that's your cluster buster. Hey, he looked way smoother in that. He was actually clocked faster. Not that he was, just theoretically speaking, if a player was clocked faster in the gauntlet drill, maybe that's your cluster buster. All these things are going to come into play. Maybe it's age. Maybe it's injury history, stuff like that, right? It'd
be the school, right?
Yes.
Toledo versus Oregon, right? Bigger school comparison.
Absolutely. Next on the list here, you'll notice Caden McDonald does not have an RAS. He has not competed yet. So imagine if he did get a 5-point bonus at his pro day, he's going to jump significantly on the board and skyrocket up a little bit. Colton Hood got a 5-point bonus, so he helped himself. 6 foot 193 is what he measured in at. So obviously the measurables look pretty good there. 27.5 score. Then you got TJ Parker, edge defender out of Clemson here. Helped himself as well, 5-point bonus. Keep in mind, TJ Parker also got a 5-point Senior Bowl bonus. He dominated during Senior Bowl week. So that's an edge defender out of Clemson in the 27 spot on our board. That's somebody, if somehow, some way he were to fall to 52. I don't think he will, but if he were, that would, as much as we may feel like we don't need an edge defender, we need a defensive tackle rather than an edge defender, you'd probably go get TJ Parker because the value is so good with a 5-point bonus. And then a guy that we've mocked at 52, Tim, I think it's going to be hard to do this moving forward, isn't it, man? Chris Johnson, 5-point bonus. Obviously, he had the Senior Bowl bonus as well. He got the 5-point RES bonus, dominated at the combine. Chris Johnson, Tim, probably going to be
first-round draft pick. Yeah. He's got first round written all over him. I'm sorry.
I'm with you, man. It's tough, dude. 6 foot 193. He's got good size, good weight, carries it well. PFF grades 244th, jumped to 216th. Last year, jumped all the way up to second. The PFF big board originally had him at 43. The consensus big board had him at 46. Tankathon had him at 45. Dane Brugler had him at 38. Daniel Jeremiah did not have him in his top 50 on both of his lists. So
he did drop a little bit on PFF. He's at 56 now.
Is he?
Yep.
So maybe we're wrong here, man. Maybe he will be available at 52. That would be great. But gosh, man,
would that be an automatic run the card though if he's on the board at 52, right?
Unless there's an offensive lineman up here, like let me just bounce back up. Let's say like somehow Caden Proctor fell, right? Monroe Frilling, if he fell, you can have a conversation there, right? Well, here's another one. Let me just go a step further. You're talking about maybe Peter Woods potentially being there, although some people were saying he's a slam dunk top 10 pick. I don't see him like that. Maybe he will be a top 10 pick. I'm not in the predicting business. I'm in the kind of analyzing and trying to understand where people sit on our board. Kristen Miller at 34. You could have a handful of players here, Tim, if some of these – here's the thing. One of my biggest pet peeves this time of year is if you tweet out a prospect and you go, man, I really like this guy. You'll have the negative Nancy asshats immediately in replies go, he'll never be there. He'll never be there. Sooner or later, you knuckleheads, one of these 17 people that you said none of them will be there, somebody's got to be there because they're in this same cluster, right? And then, of course, if they are there, because normal people like us don't go comb through our Twitter and show, who was it that said that? Of course, they'll never reply back and go, I was wrong. They just go on to the next hot take and pretend like they know everything. Get my blood pressure up here.
I like that, Clayton. Negative Nancy asshats. Band name called it.
That was on the fly too. Yeah, that's I don't think I've ever used that one before either. That's interesting. This stuff, man, there's stuff buried back here that you guys don't know. Y'all don't want to know what's back here. I promise you. And there's some garbage back there in the back of my brain. So again, as Coach Lynn says, right? Coach Lynn says someone will fall to us at 52, and we will pass also. So,
it's so true. But like you said, what if you have that problem? What if you've got an edge, you've got a corner, you got a D tackle, you got all these guys that fell? You could be in that situation where you've got multiple swings available there. You can only draft one. Who's it going to be? Again, I wouldn't want to be in that war room having to make that decision.
Yeah. Another player that's moved here a little bit, Omar Cooper Jr., wide receiver out of Indiana. He scored at 8, so he helped himself a little bit. That gets him a 3-point bonus. Lee Hunter, Tim, every year you go, man, that guy really hurt his stock, right? Lee Hunter is the one this year. We had him in the 41 spot. Some people were saying he was a slam dunk first-round pick. We had him at 41 thinking he may not be there at 52. Now you've got to ask yourself, what's more important, the Underwear Olympics or what you see on tape, right? With Lee Hunter, he gets 0 points, okay? This is where you insert the Willy Wonka. You get nothing. Good day, sir. But when you look at his tape, he dominated at the Senior Bowl. His tape is phenomenal. The PFF grade checked out this year, 38th best at his position, right? PFF Big Board had him at 53. Consensus Big Board had him at 48. So Daniel Jeremiah had him at 26. Can't wait to see Daniel Jeremiah's next update because I bet Lee Hunter is going to drop. So we're going to keep the 26 in because wherever Daniel Jeremiah ranked on the first time he mentioned them, we keep it there. So all this movement doesn't shake up our board too much. As soon as we have the information, we keep it in. Dane Brugler had him at 60. If he's there at 52, Tim, there's no chance Gutey drafts him having that low of an RAS, right? I mean, he doesn't draft guys like that, especially that early, maybe in the 5th or 6th, but he's not doing that at 52, right?
Probably not. And he's also older. You know, he's basically 24. So we all know you know, Gutey DiCaprio and things like that. So that could be another factor. But I think you're right. I think he's one of those that could go either way. He's like a bubble guy to me, either early 2nd round or, you know, mid to late 1st round possible for him.
Yeah. And if he's there at 52, and you got to make a decision, let's say he's the best defensive tackle on our board, right? This is where I differ from Gutey. And the Packers have met with him, by the way, too. I think at the Senior Bowl. No, actually at the Combine, I think they met with him. If Lee Hunter's there at 52 and he's the best defensive tackle on the board, you go, he's 41st on our or 41st on our board, right? He's 41st on our board. And let's say D'Angelo Pons is there too. Well, he's one spot higher. D'Angelo Pons didn't. I don't have a grade for him. I think he had an incomplete RAS if there's nothing there as well. These are just complete or semi-complete. It's going to be a tough decision. I don't think Gutey does it, but if we need a defensive tackle, and he's the best player on our board, I could give a rat's ass of what he done at the Combine. Now, if there's 2 defensive tackles there, hear me out, guys. Let's say Lee Hunter is there, and let's say. Let me try to find the nearest D tackle. Let's say Kristen Miller and Lee Hunter are in the same tier. Okay, there's no RAS there either. Wonderful. I'm trying to draw a comparison here. Let me just do it this way. Let's say that Kristen Miller did have a -1 point, right? A 1 point bonus for a 7+ RAS. Okay, and then you've got Lee Hunter there as well, who scored a 3. Okay, no bonus, but scored in the 3s on the RAS. Now you can make a case for same position. This guy's more athletic than this guy. Let's go with the more athletic guy because the tape matches. The tape says they're the same player. But if Lee Hunter's the best defensive tackle, I have no problem taking him, man. None whatsoever. So that's the type of stuff that matters with the athletic scoring, and you got to prioritize or deprioritize what's important to you, what isn't. How much do you truly care about the athletic score? That's the stuff that's that comes into play here. Jake Golday helped himself, 5-point bonus there at stackbacker, linebacker out of Cincinnati. So now I want to do this and we'll wrap up. We'll be real quick with this because we're already way over on time. I'm trying to get better at not taking too long. If we sort by just position and we go to stackbacker, now that we got some of this stuff in here are the top graded stackbackers. Sonny Styles, long gone. Arvell Reese, long gone. CJ Allen out of Georgia is a 38.8 grade, okay? Probably not going to be there for the Packers. Jake Golday, 45.1 is the grade. Anthony Hill Jr., 55.2. Jacob Rodriguez, 58.9. Tim, what I want you to look at here is Jake Golday, Anthony Hill, Jacob Rodriguez. If either of those 3 guys, one of those 3 guys are available at 52, do you take a swing at stackbacker? Is it that important? Is it that big of a need? Or do you reach a little bit to go get offensive line or defensive tackle? These are the questions that Gutey's going to have to answer on draft night.
Me, I'd rather reach for O-line or D-line personally. But if you get, like Golladay, man, Golday looks legit. You certainly scratch your head and think maybe you do take that because I mean, where are we in the middle right now? We've got Zay McDuffie, we've got Edge Coop. And then what? Tyron Hopper. Mm-hmm. Where else are we going? If assuming Quay's gone, right? Quay tests the market, gets his money, and it's tough because like Golday's basically right at that spot, isn't he? Where is he on our board?
So Golday, I don't know exactly where he's at on our board. The 45.1 would suggest he's worthy of the 45th pick. So
PFF's got him at 51 on the nose.
Probably right around that range. So here, let's say you're holding my feet to the fire and I have to draft one of these 3 linebackers at 52. Let's say they're all 3 available. This is the process I would walk through. Well, let's look at the size, right? Jake Golday, 6'4.5". Anthony Hill Jr., 6'2". Jacob Rodriguez, 6'1". The advantage would go to Jake Golday, right? If you go to the athletic score, they all 3 got 5-point bonuses, so that checks out, right? Okay, what does the tape show? In this case, it's the PFF grade. Jake Golday was 56th at his position. Anthony Hill Jr. was 247, and Jacob Rodriguez was first. So Jacob Rodriguez, hands down, has the best PFF grade. He showed the most on tape, assuming that it checked out with PFF, right? Yep. So now the edge goes to Jacob Rodriguez. Do you go height, 6'4.5" with Golday, or do you go tape Jacob Rodriguez? Right? I'm going tape. I could give a rat's ass about those extra 2.5, 3.5 inches if this guy has high football IQ. He knows how to force turnovers. Him being Jacob Rodriguez.
Yep.
Well, the other cluster buster here, Tim, look who dominated Senior Bowl week. Jacob Rodriguez.
Yeah.
So my pick would be Jacob Rodriguez there. Now, if you're the general manager, you're picking at 52, all three are available, and you identify Jacob Rodriguez as my guy, you've got to do a cost risk analysis here of, okay, is it worth trading back 4 spots? And then that'll help us decide which one of these 3. Or are you convicted in, nope, hands down, Jacob Rodriguez is the guy. I'm going Jacob Rodriguez, right? So, again, Anthony Hill Jr., I hope he works out, Tim. I got an autographed rookie card I pulled out of Rip Pack.
Oh, yeah, I saw that in the group chat. That's awesome.
I hope he smokes Jacob Rodriguez's career for financial purposes, okay? Yep. However, if we were to look at the PFF grades, Anthony Hill in 23, 574th at his position. He jumped to 221 and then fell back to 247. Jacob Rodriguez, no ranking in 23, 51st best stack backer in 24. He was the highest graded stack backer in all of college football last year, according to PFF. So it's not even close between Jacob Rodriguez and Anthony Hill when it comes to the actual tape. Now, if you fall back to Jake Golday, 124, 66, 56, ascending, 3 years ascension, getting better every year, right?
Yep.
I would go Jacob Rodriguez out of these 3 if it were me, man. That's just me personally. So.
I think you're right. And you can't go wrong going based on what you've seen, on the tape, right? Again, like these measurables are great. It's nice to have them, but we're looking for ballers, right?
Yeah.
And
Coach
really, they're all decent sized schools too. So I mean, if you're comparing those 3 guys across the board, right? I mean, nobody really went to anywhere super small of a school there, right? Yeah. Texas Tech, Cincinnati, Texas, those big programs.
Coach Lynn in the chat says, shoot, I like Trotter also. Josiah Trotter obviously is Jeremiah Trotter's little brother. And Josiah Trotter looking pretty good, 6'2", 237. He's thick, 32.25-inch arms. Love that. Thank you for getting that information in, Emilio. You are the man. 340th at his position, 243rd at his position. He's got an 86.7 grade. Coach, I would like him around that 84 mark. That's if you miss on one. So let's say you trade back and all 3 of those backers you miss out on because you traded back and picked up an extra pick. You're now going to be looking at potentially Josiah Trotter with the 84th pick or whatever pick you picked up, right, to make it make sense. So that's what I love about the board and how it really
Coach Lynn all over it. I like it.
Yeah, man.
Another Mizzou guy. Hello.
I know it, Tim. We're going to have to get you a Mizzou hoodie, man. It seems like every year you identify guys, don't you?
Let's go.
Janice in the chat said, where's the cheese? She got the hand raised. I love it. Says, where's the cheese for Golday and Barrett? We haven't got to it yet, Janice. We are going to comb through Easton Butler's spreadsheet later today, and we're going to get that updated. Emilio's on strike. He wants a raise. So as soon as we get that worked out, we're in a CBA spat right now. We're going to try to get that worked. I'm sitting down with his agent later on this afternoon. I'm thinking about sending Tim in there to send him in there with a lead pipe to talk to the agent, and then we'll see if we can get him on the cheap. But we're going to add those cheese emojis in. And if you guys are new here, what Janice is referring to is anybody on our board that you see the cheese emoji next to their name, that means the Packers have met with them in the process. Now, when we get the top 30 visits in, you'll actually see a target, and that'll show, okay, top 30 visit, and they met with them at other points in the process, whether it's the East-West Shrine Bowl like Harold Perkins here, or, it might be the Senior Bowl for other guys. It might be the Hula Bowl or whatever for someone else. So all of that stuff, we try to comb through that information. So we'll get organized on that, Janice. Sorry for the delay on that as well. So, I think that's it. Tim, is there anything else you want to hit other than the fact that Emilio keeps adding in these horn signs for Red Murdoch every time I remove them, he puts them back in?
Emilio has not logged out of the board, I think, throughout this whole process. I think he's just, even in his sleep, I think he's updating it.
I'm going to have Mandy reach out to Jordan and say, hey, he's not doing too much, is he? Like, I got to get intel to make sure that he's not hurting his marriage down there, spending too much time on this board. Because if he is, I'm going to ban him from the board and get that straightened out first. Because Tim, you're right, man. He is there. 4 o'clock in the morning, we're getting texts. Hey, just put this in. Like, what are you doing, dude? Go to sleep.
He is a G.
Oh, man. Janice says, I don't have access to the draft board. Yeah, you got access to it, Janice. If you go to our Patreon group, patreon.com/PackerFan Total Access, and you're in there. I love the post you're throwing in there, by the way. Go to the draft board link. I actually threw an updated link in there this morning. Okay. Sometimes you get a comb back. And full disclosure for everybody on the Patreon group, gang, I wanted the draft board link chat to just be, it's just the draft board link. Everybody started talking draft in there, and I don't want to be the I don't know what's the word I'm looking for here. I don't want to be the dictator that says you shouldn't comment in here. You know what I mean? I don't want to be like that. I can find it, but it makes it a little bit cleaner if we just use that in the general chat. We talk about our favorite prospects and stuff, and just keep the draft board link kind of clean to where you can, access the board. But you'll see a link in there. Just click on that link. It'll take you in. You can't edit anything. I've had a few people request to become admins so they can edit stuff. Not going to happen. Okay. So appreciate the concern. Appreciate the interest. Love you guys. But
who in the hell is Mel Kiper in a way?
If we give everybody access to edit the board, then yeah, Mel Kiper is going to go in there and screw it up with his opinions. So yeah.
You're going to get your ass kicked in that.
Some people are higher on other prospects than others, so they'll go in, fudge a number here or there. Yeah, can't do it, right, Tim? Can't do it.
Nope.
So,
nope.
Let me put it this way.
Put too much work in, right?
Exactly. So, anything else, Tim? You good, buddy?
Good to go, man. Can't wait to be back this afternoon for the watch party. Combine continues.
Yeah, it's going to be a blast, man. I got a full day today, man. We get the combine. I'm going to go split screen with the NASCAR race, dude. It's going to be unbelievable today. It'll be a great day. Have the doors open, the breeze blowing in. Christine says chaos and anarchy. I watched Talladega Nights again the other night, man.
Anarchy, oh, man, I haven't seen that in so long. Oh, classic.
Anarchy. I don't know what it means, but I love it. Such a good movie, man. So good. When the dad meets Ricky Bobby's new girlfriend for the first time, and she says what they've done, and he goes, wish I could have been there for that. There's just so many good underlying jokes. Oh, and that's so good. So anyway, this show sucks. We're out of here, guys. Thank y'all so much for hanging out with us. We will be back today, 2:30 p.m. Central Time. We'll be going live for a watch party for the Combine and getting you guys updates in real time. We'll play-by-play on the Combine as well. It's going to be a lot of fun. Again, hit that like button for us, hit subscribe, click the bell icon. Wherever you get your podcast, do us a quick favor. Jump over there and give us a review. Just search Packers Total Access or Packer Fan Total Access. You will see the logo there. And you'll notice it's a small account because we just launched it. And that's the best way to find us over there. So that's it. We'll be back later today. Everybody have a great day. My name's Clayton. That's Tim. This is PTA. Go Pack, go.
There we go.
Bye, guys.